children, welcome back to Software Project Management course. In this lecture we are going to cover network planning models and critical path analysis. So before moving to the network planning models, now let us know what is a network. A network is nothing but it is a graphical representation of project operations, and it is composed of several nodes and arrows which are interrelated. And network consists of node and arrow. This is an example of how a network will look like. So this network, these are the circles represent the nodes, and these are arrows. This is a simple example of a network. Now let us to the next thing, that is there are two techniques for network planning. They are critical path method and the other one is PERT. PERT, the abbreviation for PERT is Program Evaluation Review Technique. And both of these techniques makes use of two approaches. Those are activity on arrow and the other approach is activity on node. Now let us see in detail about what is an activity on arrow and what is activity on node. Now let us move to the first one, that is activity on arrow. So in this activity on arrow approach, the activities are drawn as arrow joining circles or nodes, which represents the start and or the completion of an activity. So this is how this is an example of activity on arrow. So here the ones which are represented in circles, that is from 1 to 10, are nothing but nodes. So here the activities are specified by arrow here. So why we are calling this as activity on arrow? Because here nodes have to perform some activity. So what activity these nodes have to be performed are specified on the arrow. So that's why this type of network are called as activity on arrow. So here specify overall system. This is an activity which is specified on arrow. So that's why this type of models are called as activity on arrow. So let us once again recall that activity on arrow is nothing but, here in this model the activity that a node has to be performed is specified on arrow. Here between the nodes 2 to 3 there are 4 modules, and what that module has to be performed is specified on this arrow. What type of action these modules have to be performed is specified on this arrow. So in this activity on arrow, the activities are always specified on the arrow. Now let us move to the next one, that is activity on node. So in general, this activity on node is a most popular and widely adopted technique which is used in the precedence networks. So here in this activity on node, activities are specified on nodes, are represented as nodes. So the links between nodes represents precedence requirements. So previously we have seen activity on arrow. In that case the activities are specified on arrow, whereas in the case of activity on node the activities are specified inside the node. So this is an example how an activity on node will look like. So this is a node, and in this node we are specifying the activity. So specify overall system. These are all the different types of nodes, and in these nodes we are specifying the activity that corresponding node has to be performed. Next, now move on to the next thing, that is constructing precedence networks. So we have to know how these precedence networks have to be constructed, that is activity on node. So let us now the rules for constructing these precedence networks. So each and every in constructing these precedence networks, a project network should have at least one end state. The rules for constructing precedence networks are: a project network should have only one start node, and a project network should have only one end node, and a node has a duration. So that means that the node has precedence networks are nothing but activity on node. The node has to perform its activity in a specific duration. That's why a node should have a duration. And next one is links normally have no duration. Links, why? Because here we are not talking about activity on arrow. As we are dealing with activity on node, here a link need not have any duration, but a node should always have a duration. So, and one more important rule is that time always move from left to right on a network. And the other rule is that precedence are time, and next important rule is that precedence are the immediate preceding activities. That means that in this example, program test cannot occur, program test activity cannot happen until the precedent activity, that is the previous activity, that is code activity and data take on activity, are completed. So this is an example of precedence networks. So in precedence networks, the precedents are the immediate preceding activities, and in this the precedent activity, after the completion of this precedent activity only the next preceding activity will takes place. And similarly, after the completion of this program test, then only this install activity will takes place. And one more important rule for constructing these precedence networks is that a network should not have loops. So in this example, here we have an activity called test program, which will be completed only after completing these activity, that is diagnose errors, correct errors, and after completing these two activities only, then the test program activity will be completed. That means here this is going into a loop here. So these type of loops should not occur in the case of precedence networks. And next important rule for identification, activity identification approach is that a network should not contain dangles. So a dangle is nothing but the hanged activities in a network are called as danged activities. So here write user manual activity is a dangled activity. So dangled activities are nothing but the hanged activities in a network are called as danged activities, and those type of activities should not be present in a network. So now next move on to the next topic, that is critical path analysis. So critical path analysis is also represented by CPA, and it is a method used in project planning for project scheduling of the on-time completion of the project. And CPA also helps in the determination of the earliest completion time of a project. And there are two main concepts in this method. Those are critical task and critical path. And now let us see the first one, that is critical task. So critical task is the task or activity which cannot be delayed. So critical task is nothing but it is a task or activity which cannot be delayed. If this is delayed, the whole project will be delayed. So critical task is nothing but it is a task or activity which cannot be delayed. So if this is delayed, the whole project will be delayed, and it must be completed on time before starting the other dependent activities. And next one is critical path. So it is a critical path is a sequence of critical activities, and it is the largest path in the network. And critical path always gives us the minimum time which is required to complete the project. And the activities in the critical path are known as critical activities. And if these activities are delayed, then the whole project will be delayed. Now let us move to the next one, that is the steps that are involved in critical path method. So there are 6 steps that are involved in critical path method. The first one is identifying activities, and the second one is activity sequence establishment, and third step is construct a network diagram, and the fourth step is perform time estimation during forward and backward pass, and the fifth step is identification of the critical path, and the sixth step and the last step is critical path diagram to show project progresses. Now let us move to the first step, that is identifying activities. So identifying activities is the first step that is used in critical path analysis. So in identifying activities, we make use of work breakdown structure in order to identify the activities that are involved in the project. Through this work breakdown structure, we will get some activities, and that will act as a main input for this critical path analysis method. And one more important thing in this critical path analysis is that only the highest level activities have to be included in the network. When detailed activities are used, then the critical path calculation will be very difficult and it will take long time. And the next step, activity sequence establishment. In this step, the correct activity sequence is to be established. So for each task, you should ask 3 questions. The first question is, which task should take place before this task happens? And the second one is, which task should be completed at the same time? And the third one is, which task should happen immediately after this task? So these are the 3 questions that are to be followed while identifying. So these 3 steps have to be followed in order to sequence the activities. So the third step in critical path analysis is construct a network diagram. So once the activity sequence is correctly identified, the network diagram can be drawn. As critical path analysis makes use of activity on node, each and every node in this critical path analysis network will have this format. That is, a node will contain earliest start, duration, earliest finish, activity label, latest start, float, and latest finish. And the fourth step in critical path analysis is perform time estimation using forward and backward pass. So in forward pass, the forward pass is calculate the earliest date on which activity may be started and completed. And through backward pass, this backward pass is used to carry out to calculate the latest dates on which activity may be started and finished without delaying the end of the project. Next step in critical path analysis is identification of the critical path. For this, how to need 4 parameters in the network. So the first parameter is earliest start time, which is represented by ES. So earliest start time is the date or time at which the activity can be started at the earliest. And next parameter is earliest finish time, which is represented by EF, and earliest finish time is the date or time at which the activity can be completed at the earliest. And the next parameter is latest start time, which is represented by LS, and it is the date or time at which the activity can be started at the latest. And the fourth parameter is latest finish time, which is represented by LF, and the latest finish time is the date or time at which the activity can be finished at the latest. The last step in critical path analysis is critical path diagram to show project progress. So, the critical path diagram gives you the realistic figure how a project will look like, and also gives us the deadline for the project management, and it also gives us at the correct time at which the project can be completed. And the advantages of using this critical path method are: it offers a visual representation of the project activities. That means it has a clear picture depicting the activities that are involved in project and how much time it will take to complete those activities. And the second advantage is that it gives us presents us the time it takes to complete the task and the overall project. And the tracking of critical activities is also very easy by using this critical path analysis. Thank you.